to the second part of ZooKeeper's comforts. So we start in the Siebel Management Console with this one. So this is of course the number one out of the box window into the Enterprise Configuration Store, which is stored in ZooKeeper in a hierarchical format. So I'm looking at the list of enterprises, and you would be surprised if there are two enterprises. There's only one. And let's check out the list of servers. I'm in the management page, so I see the current run state of that server, not surprising. And now I can go to components for that server. I can control them from here. So this is not news. This is not what I'm intending to show. It's just showing that information is being retrieved from ZooKeeper, and I can also send commands from here. But what goes on behind the background is interesting here. So let's open the developer tools of Chrome or any browser and go to Network tab. And let's just, well, go to management one more time. And we see that a XHR request, an XML HTTP request or a fetch is done to what is known as the Cloud Gateway REST API. Now this REST API is officially semi-documented, so you find hints about it in Bookshelf, but not to the full extent yet, at the time of this recording at least. But what can we see from this request is that there is a URL which ends in cloudgateway/enterprises, and you get a response back. Well, the response is JSON, and it's the name of the enterprise, it's the description and some other stuff. So it's basically what we see here. So when you click, or when you go to the enterprises list, a request is made to the Cloud Gateway, which then, of course, translates that into a request to ZooKeeper, gets the data back, and the data is passed back as JSON. Now, of course, this is a REST API, so we can use the likes of Postman to call it. So I have opened Postman and I'm doing a GET request to the same URL. I'm sure that I have a valid username and basic authentication. There's no body required because it's a GET request. And let's send it off one more time. Well, and not surprising, you see the same result here. So now you have the enterprise name of training. Now you can navigate. So you can go, this is the enterprise I'm looking at, and I want to see, well, a list of servers maybe. Let's see if that works. Okay, I get a server back and the server status. So the information I've just seen in SMC, that's how SMC retrieves it. Now, bear with me a little bit more. So we now can address that server 01, going down the hierarchy. We can see a list of components, maybe. Let's see. And that looks like a list of components. Yeah, shut down, some are shut down because they're manual start. And yeah, okay, so that's a JSON document, which I can put to good use. If you're familiar with DevPops, let me go to the Siebel web client. DevPops is a utility, educational coding utility that is, once it's installed, persistent as a button in the application menu. And there's a demo for getting the server status. So it interrogates basically ZooKeeper using the Cloud Gateway REST API from the browser. So if you click server status, this is just like a use case you can do. Okay, it retrieves all the servers, gets the run state, and gets the component list. Of course, it retrieves that using JSON. It just formats the JSON nicely in HTML. So that's one use case you can do. What's currently going on my server is just a REST call away. Okay, so that's useful. Use the Cloud Gateway REST API to retrieve information that you can also check out in SMC with Server Manager, or in the views, and of course in the Siebel web client there are server administration views. Okay, but what more to this? If you dig a little bit into the folders that you find within the Siebel installation, there's an EM discovery. Now, EM stands for Enterprise Manager. So Oracle has a product called Enterprise Manager, which has a, let's call it a module to monitor and maybe also control. I'm not too familiar with that module, but at least to monitor Siebel Enterprise and Siebel servers. So it needs to get a lot of runtime data out of Siebel. And if you look at that properties file, it has the plugin basically finds here all the necessary passwords and connections. So you see here the AI connection string, and that is a familiar looking URL until here. And now it basically adds a parameter or a query parameter, expand equals all. Now I'm curious what happens if we do that query here in Postman. So this is what Enterprise Manager would do, adding that parameter here. And let's see what we get. So it's taking quite a long time. And while it's running, let me check out Task Manager. And indeed, ZooKeeper is quite busy. So it's one request to the Cloud Gateway. And the Cloud Gateway black box translates it into probably multiple calls or recursive calls to retrieve, well, a lot of information about the current state of this enterprise or any enterprise. Well, there's only one usually. So let's just wait for this to complete and see the result. And there is the result already. So it took like 40 seconds to retrieve that. So it's a very hefty query, of course. But it looks like a very complete, comprehensive information about the Siebel Enterprise. So the size is 0.5 MB. So let's copy that. Let's open it in text editor where we can format it. So here I got my JSON plugin. So that looks okay. That's 47,000 lines. It's quite a big chunk. So what do we get here? So that is a possibly a formatted version of the well, training enterprise that I have, and it starts with a list of named subsystems. So all the named subsystems are there with their names, descriptions, and parameters. So Siebel Query Dispatch being the first one, and probably can expand that or collapse that here. Quite a lot of them. Then there's the enterprise definition. There's the enterprise attributes, the version. Not sure if that's useful. Sequence component list. Okay, now we're talking. That looks like all the possible components, like component definitions. Oh, now we're talking. Servers. Servers with the component group. So the component group assignment, basically, you could read from that. I'm interpreting this a little bit out of my sleeve as I look at it. And there we have these parameters, possibly for the server. Or no, these are enterprise parameters. We have the component groups. Okay, that's it. So it's more or less the definition of the enterprise as I look at it. So the servers, there are, of course, assigned component groups, attributes, events. Okay, so quite a lot of information. Let's see if we can find an object manager like call center in here. Yes, there is. It's online. It's enabled. It's auto start mode. Let's find another And there's the definition with the parameters and stuff like that. Okay, so I'm stopping here. We have demonstrated how to retrieve information from ZooKeeper using the Cloud Gateway REST API. And we have discovered quite a neat trick that Enterprise Manager uses. And, well, not sure if this is legit or even legal, but it's there, and why not put it to good use? We are reading information after all, so we're not risking of modifying anything or so. But keep in mind that the performance impact is quite heavy. Thanks for watching. Take care and bye-bye.